Yeah. Stay in constant communication. Mic check. Is everyone good? Yes? Sure? Okay.
open up with questions over here to the right. Austin Ward, the podcast.
Ryan, it felt like maybe the most complete performance of the season. I don't want to take anything away from Penn State and the toughness of that game, but offense, defense, special teams, everybody made plays.
Yeah, and there was a challenge set out in special teams. We went back and changed some stuff on personnel. We felt like we had something on, in the punt block. We put Cade and Mitch off the edge there, which was, we felt like a good matchup for us in that moment. Put a lot of work into it, but then those guys have to go execute it, and they did. And we felt like, especially in the first half of this game, coming off the emotional win of last week, that getting a special teams either steal a possession or big play could jumpstart us in the game. I thought it did.
Over to the left, Rob Aller, Columbus Dispatch.
Yeah, Ryan, this re-engineering of the defense, or whatever you want to call it, really looks like it's effective, moving guys around. I thought that your DEs really, played well, JT and Sawyer.
Yeah, I thought JT and Jack were both very disruptive, and certainly the forced fumble and scoop and score was the epitome of that in this game. But like you said, it starts up front, and I think Tyleek was available. He could have played, but we felt like we were going to hold him unless we really needed him. Plan on getting him back for next week, full go. But it was good to see some other guys step up and have to get in there and play. And it's everybody across the board. I thought the DBs were solid in coverage. I only think they had I don't know how many, 9 completions. So anytime that happens, 3 sacks, you get in the backfield, it makes a big difference.
Well, go ahead, Rob.
About it. What exactly, or did you talk about the changes on the defense? Or was it be more aggressive, or what was the major change?
Yeah, I think to the naked eye, there's it's not like we redid the whole thing, but when you start from scratch, there's just certain things that you either make assumptions on, or you have to make sure that you're putting the right guys in the right place, and all it takes is a little bit to be off, and when you add these little things up over time, they can make a big difference. And I think the guys are understanding that. I think they know how they can go win a game, but then we have to have the change-ups, somewhere along the game to keep people off balance. And so without getting too technical on it, I think that, we have the right people in the right spots. I think we're getting lined up faster and getting set, getting our cleats in the ground and being more aggressive on the perimeter.
All right, folks, we have Lathan Ransom. He just moved to the back, and I do apologize for that herd of crickets sound we hear in the back. Over to the right, Dylan Davis, Delaware Gazette.
Ryan Edrick earned the start today, the first of his career. What have you seen out of him leading up to this that allowed him to get that start, and what did you think of his performance just from the naked eye?
Yeah, I have to watch the film and see. He's really flashed for us, making the move from defensive end into 3 technique. And he has a lot of ability. He is active, and he's young, so he's going to have to continue to learn. He's going to make plays. He's going to make some mistakes, and he's got to grow up quickly because we need him. But I think his future is very, very bright here at Ohio State. I think he can be a very, very good player, and I think he could be a really dynamic 3 technique for us.
Over to the left, Pat Murphy, 24/7 Sports.
Ryan, you've talked about the number of weapons that defenses have to cover on this offense. When Emeka has 1 catch, the running backs are getting involved, but you still have a day like today. Is that the epitome of kind of what you're talking about, of trying to take one thing away and then other things open up?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of reasons to go no huddle. There's a lot of reasons to huddle, and when we're huddling, we're not getting as many plays. We're getting, we ended up with 66 plays, and then, our starters are pretty much out there in the 4th quarter. So there's just not as many plays as there used to be. So a big part of this season is understanding that, the touches and the numbers aren't always going to be as high as maybe in the past. So guys like Emeka and Carnell, they understand that, and it's not always easy. You want to have an impact on the game, but their time is coming. These big games are coming. As we continue to move through November, and we're going to need them to play at a high level. But we're looking for that combination, obviously, of being explosive on the perimeter, downfield, and then obviously in the run game. And we need everybody involved with it. And a big part of that is being unselfish. It's a big part of when we go into November, we have to have an unselfish offense and defense. But when you're on offense, there's only one football. And we got to do everything we can to win the game. And good to see Emeka get that touchdown. But here's a guy who certainly he wants more touches. Any receiver does. But he's not a guy that is going to be selfish and make it about him. He knows the bigger picture on this. He's a captain. one of the best receivers in the history of Ohio State football, and I know the fans appreciate who he is.
Over to the right, Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
Ryan, last week, Will had an up-and-down game against Penn State. It looked like today he was probably exactly what you wanted in terms of no mistakes, very solid. Is this the kind of performance you want to see from him week to week?
Yeah. He made some nice throws today. He took care of the football. We did have the one sack that we'd like to throw away there, but then he came right back and made 2 nice throws to get us back into it, which was huge. I thought the second and long throw to Jeremiah was great, and then obviously the third down they came with zero pressure. I think Trey did a great job of picking it up, and then he found his hot answer right there. So those are the things that are important. But yeah, we're going to go back on the film and figure out the things that we got to continue to clean up and get better at across the board. It wasn't all clean today. It wasn't. But I thought guys played hard. And again, good to see us respond coming off an emotional win. You watch it all across college football. We've been a part of that too, where you come off an emotional win like that and you have a letdown going into the game. We're in November now. Like every single snap matters. Every play matters. And that being said, I think some guys took that opportunity in the second half, some young players, to use those snaps as an opportunity to make a name for themselves, because we're going to need depth as we continue to go through November. We've already seen that. So, good to see us respond coming off an emotional win last week.
Over to the left, Doug Lesmerises, Kings of the North.
Ryan, just to double back on the punt block, is there something you guys saw on film that you adjusted to, or you just wanted to get Mitchell and Caden on that same side? What was the discussion this week?
Yeah, we like the matchup with those guys on the shield. When you look at the shield, they were a little bit smaller body types. We felt like we get them to move their feet, that we had a chance to go after it. We thought both Caden and Mitch, do that for a living. They can rush the passer, and then they slithered their way through the shield. And at the very least put pressure on it. But we felt like that was a good matchup with those bigger body types on the shield. And so, usually we have smaller guys that are on punt return, but we felt this was the good matchup. We had been working on it for a couple weeks, and it was good to see it hit early in the game.
And the TV showed you celebrating with Rob Keys after you guys hit that. You mentioned steal a possession or make a big play. I mean, especially when you're in tighter games. Have you guys been having conversations about that, maybe especially after the Oregon game, where you can steal something that might swing a game for you?
Yeah, and we put a lot of work into it. I mean, a lot of work. So, we need to start seeing results. So we did make a few adjustments. I think you saw Travion back there at kickoff return. We didn't quite get what we wanted there. We've used, Caleb and Brandon back there at return. So we moved some. You saw a couple of guys run down a little bit different on kickoff. Denzel was a gunner for us, or a jammer for us today. So, we're moving some pieces around to try to put our best guys out there on special teams, because we work at it. And maybe we haven't always had as many opportunities. Just, like you've seen last few weeks, you've seen a lot of punts. We haven't really had an opportunity to return them, put a lot of work into it. But yeah, it was, Rob, kind of organizes everything, but Brian Hartline's in charge of the punt return and punt block. So good to see them, make a difference in this game and change the game. It was something we were really hammering this week. We felt like we had something there, but you got to go do it. You got to go put it on the field. So it's good for those guys, to get that done.
We're only going to have a couple more questions for Coach. Over to the right, Stephen Means, Cleveland.com.
Right, you're talking about some of the stuff you're doing on special teams. It looked like on defense you guys were trying some different stuff than usual as well. Just kind of match that balance of trying to throw new stuff out there to see what you can and can't do versus also getting young guys an opportunity to get out there and get on the field and get some experience.
Yeah, and when Tyleek wasn't available, we felt like we wanted to try some different things and look at some different packages. We'll keep building on it and evaluate it and see what worked, what didn't. But we felt like this was a good opportunity to go, try some of that stuff, some things that Jim's done in his past. And, we'll keep looking at it and see if it fits.
Over to the left, Cameron Teague Robinson, The Athletic.
Ryan, kind of off of that, there's not a lot of places where you can try new stuff like that from Jim's past in the middle of the season like that. How much does it help when you have so much experience that you can add some stuff, and how does that help add versatility for the rest of the year?
Yeah, it could be, a real weapon for us. And like you said, it's not easy to experiment, when you're in certain games, but we felt like it's something that we had done previously with Mitch. We had done it previously with CJ and with the guys. And so even going a year back, they at least had some recall on it and film that we could watch to get better at. And there's a lot more that we can build on from there. And so, again, it's got to make sense. It's got to fit in the right spot. But, we felt like it gives us a little bit of a different wrinkle.
And final question, Tim May, Letterman Row.
Yeah, thank you, Jerry. Poor Chris Carter, he can't defend himself. Obviously Jeremiah Smith went by him again today on a major freshman category. And then number two, I wanted to ask you, Ryan, how important was it, like you said, the punt block and a couple other things, to get something out of this game other than a W? You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I absolutely know what you're saying. Yeah, I think the first thing was like coming off of last week on emotional win. Like, how are we going to respond? Are we just going to kind of flop around in the first half and then it gets into the fourth quarter, like maybe happened a couple weeks ago, or are we going to come out and be aggressive early and establish a line of scrimmage and get a turnover? So that was good. It also is good when you emphasize making a difference in special teams. You heard me talk about that this week. I think somebody asked me in the press conference, and I agreed with them. It wasn't a plus for us, and so that was the challenge. And so to get that punt block is good. It's good for the momentum. Meetings will be sharper, walkthroughs will be sharper, practice will be sharper when you see the impact it can have on a game.
Great.
Yeah, Jeremiah. Yeah, I mean, you guys have seen it, and now he's gonna have to play his best because he's got a lot of it on film and. We're in November now, and so all those matchups are going to matter. But he's getting stronger. He's getting more experienced. He's understanding of coverages and different things, and so we're going to need everybody though. But great to see him break a record.
Great,
Yeah.
Coach. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
G. All right, folks, we're going to have tight end G. Scott at the main podium here for a handful of questions. Over here to the right, Brendan Gulick, Buckeyes Now on Sports Illustrated.
G, I guess 2 weeks ago, maybe the output was a little flat at times. Not an effort thing, but just in general, maybe wasn't the greatest game. Last week, you have a really emotional win. Going into today, did you feel like there was a different sense of urgency this week going against a team that hasn't had a ton of success after you're coming off a big emotional win like that?
Yeah, I think we weren't naive to the fact of what takes place after big wins. We see across college football, some of the unfortunate things happen after big wins, and teams like to take exhales in that time. But I think the emphasis that Coach Day had for this team the entire time is that we don't get to exhale, is that it's just time to go harder. And so I think we had a really hard practice week, that we went right back to work. We enjoyed the win, obviously, Saturday night, and then Sunday we celebrated it. But by the time we got to Tuesday practice, Penn State was behind us. And so it was all on to this week, and I think we came out and we executed at a high level.
Over to the left, Doug Lesmerises, Kings of the North.
Gee, could you just take us through your touchdown a little bit, what you're trying to do there to get caught up and then leak out a little bit late? It looked like it worked perfectly.
Yeah, the whole goal in that is to keep low pads, and everything should look like a run play. I ended up getting actually delayed coming out of it even more. I tried to leave it even a little earlier, but there was another support player that kind of caught up, so I had to work through some traffic and ended up popping open late. But all glory to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for putting me the opportunity to be able to play at this stage. And so it's a grateful opportunity to be in the end zone.
Over to the right, Dylan Davis, Delaware Gazette.
Gee, you seem to take a significant step forward in your blocking this year. What does it look like behind the scenes? What are the things that you do to take that kind of step into, as a blocker that we don't get to see?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that go into blocking, but I think ultimately it comes down to one, your technique, and that takes years of development. But secondly, and second most and equally as important is a mindset. It's very similar to rebounding the basketball on the basketball court. It's a choice, and I think having the servant leadership that I believe that I've been able to develop in my time here at Ohio State. Oftentimes a big block to spring a big run for my teammate feels better than my own success scoring a touchdown. And so that's the role that I've continued to grow in and that I love to do, and I just take a lot of pride in being able to block and spring big runs for my teammates.
All right, folks, we need to start to wrap up with Jeremiah Smith over in the back, and over here to the right, G, we've got Stefan Kreisnik from Cleveland.com.
Gee, we've seen, Caden Curry play a big role in special teams, even if it necessarily hasn't been a huge play. What's it like on the sideline when the special teams comes through like that and sets you guys up?
You said with Caden Curry doing that? Yeah, man, it's good, man. Anytime that that you're able to see fruits of all the labor that you put in. You know, that's something that we work repeatedly and repeatedly. I think sometimes when you guys see it on Saturday, it might look like it's just like, oh, that was a good play, that was great that happened. But man, we're able to see the behind the scenes and how much work that went into that. And there was just a repeated, constant amount of work that goes into those plays. I see those guys attack it at a high level, and so it's very joyful to be able to see those guys be able to go out there and execute.
About something they saw on film that they felt they could expose on that play. How involved has he been with the special teams this season?
Yeah, he's very involved. I think he does. I mean, I think that's part of his job as a head coach is that he doesn't miss a beat. When he's in there in special team meeting, he's taking notes and he's completely, fully involved in everything that we do. It's his job to make sure that everything is flowing correctly on all three phases of the game, and I think he does a great job of that. And it shows on Saturday.
Anyone else? G, thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys.
All right, we are waiting for Will Howard to make an appearance as well. And let's go ahead and start to wrap up with Jack, please. Last question for Jack back there, please. First the band and then this. Last question for Jack. Great. Thank you, Jack. I don't know what it is. I don't think it's crickets, but that's what it sounds like. Good job.
This guy's the man right here.
Yeah, you're not the one that was swearing back there, were you? No. Okay. Oh, was it? Oh, jeez. Yeah, brings me back to the day of Jeff Hireman in camp. I had not even, he looked at me and he said, really? You really want me to do an interview? I'm like, yes, please, I need an offensive guy. All right, we're gonna start over here with Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
Thank you, Jerry. I win.
Thank you, Will.
Will, you said after last week, obviously it was a huge win, but you said it's probably your worst game as a Buckeye. How do you feel about the way you played today? Look, mistake-free. It looked like you were in control. I mean, is this kind of the way you want to be?
Yeah, I wouldn't say mistake-free. If you look at the stats, you could say mistake-free and turnover-free, but definitely not mistake-free. There's probably 5 or 6 plays I'd like to have back. Kind of underthrew Carnell on that one. Lost my footing a couple times. But overall, to come out of it, 21-26. That's solid, and I'm proud of how I took care of the ball today, and that's a big emphasis for us. So coming off after last week, this is a solid performance, but not perfect by any means, and I still got a lot of stuff to clean up. So that's how I like to approach these things. I'm never satisfied.
Over to the left, Jeff Gilbert, Press Pros.
Jeremiah, today, he's got all these records now, breaking Chris Carter's records. Surprised at all that he could do this year from when you saw him at first? How do you feel for him? And obviously everybody knows he's got a huge...
Yeah, I'm not surprised in the slightest, man. As a freshman, I think he's, if not I think he's the best receiver in the country. I think we have the 3 best receivers in the country on our team. I'm biased, but I'm lucky, man. To have guys like that, doing what they're doing. I knew Jeremiah was going to be special, from the first time I met him, and he's just continued to get better and better, and he's a great kid, and I'm really happy for him getting that record today. But nobody really was shocked. Everyone was kind of like, oh yeah, JJ's just kind of doing his thing again, and he's unbelievable. So I'm happy for him, and he's just going to continue to get better and better.
Over to the right, Tim May, Letterman Row.
Yeah, following up on that, Will, what sets him apart? Is it his reliability? Is it his accountability to be in the right place at the right time most of the time? You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
He's a freshman out there playing like an upperclassman.
Yeah, I think it's the way he carries himself. He runs unbelievable routes. He's one of the fastest guys on our team. He's physical, but I think one of the biggest things about him is how he carries himself, and just I know Coach Kelly said it a couple weeks ago, but you couldn't tell he's an 18-year-old kid out there. He just looks like a vet. It looks like he's been doing it for a long time. And does he have freshman moments? Of course everybody does. But overall, if you look at he doesn't have missed assignments. He's always kind of where he needs to be. He knows what's going on, and for a freshman to step into an offense like this, of this caliber, and to not skip a step, and to know what he's doing all the time, that's special, and that's, I think, what really separates him from the rest of the pack.
Over to the left, Cameron Teague Robinson, The Athletic.
Will, I know against Penn State you had 12 carries. Today you had 9. I know 3 of those came in the red zone, but for you, in terms of running in the read game, is that a conscious effort from the coaching staff telling you to pull this more, or is that you just understanding and reading more than maybe you were earlier in the year? Yeah, I don't think it's really anything like I don't think coming into this game we were expecting me to run that much. It's kind of just built in, and it's like, hey, if the DN crashes, then I'm going to pull the ball. Obviously in the red zone, my feet, it becomes a little bit more importance. I'm going to get new cleats, by the way. So just so you guys know, I'm slipping way too much, and I look way too unathletic at times. I'm going to get new cleats next week, and yeah, we'll fix that. It won't be happening anymore.
Over to the right, Dylan Davis, Delaware Gazette.
Well, I know you can't try to do this, but I think 8 different receivers had a catch today. Does it feel better after a win when you've been able to spread the ball around like that and get a lot of guys involved?
Oh yeah,
in the game?
That means that we got everybody's clicking, man. And when you get 8 guys involved, that's huge. That means that the 2s are ready, to step in when they have to, and that means the ones we can, those first guys can come out and take a break if they need it, and it fires me up. That's a good sign. That means that everybody's locked in. Everybody's, there's really not much drop off, and from the 1s to the 2s, and that's crazy to say when I just said, that our 3 starters are the best in the country. To say that our backups isn't a huge fall off that's saying something. We got a lot of talent in that room. and the tight ends. I think the tight ends are doing some really good things too. So yeah, it's encouraging, and we want to be playing our best football in November. And I think today was a good step. Got to learn from some things and just keep it going.
Over to the left, Doug Maurice, Kings of the North.
Will, could you take us through the touchdown to G. Scott maybe a little bit? He said he got held up a little bit on the release. And was Jeremiah your first read there? And then what do you and the line have to do to let that play develop?
Yeah, so it's really just a kind of a reverse throwback. And we have, the running back gets out on a little wheel route. And that was kind of how we ran it this week. And then G's kind of, bluffing and he's working through the line, acting like he's blocking and getting out. And that's usually what pops open on that play. They ran with the running back. They saw that. And then, I just kind of had to be patient and wait. And I was kind of sitting there like, man, like this is taking a little while. But then all of a sudden he popped loose. He got held up by a couple different guys. But credit to the O-line for holding up. I mean, they know on that play that they have to hold up for a little longer. It could take the tight end a couple seconds to get out there. But he got out and he did a great job, selling that it was that he was blocking and he did the rest and got in.
Over to the right, Brendan Gulick, Buckeyes Now on Sports Illustrated.
Will, a couple of weeks ago, you were coming out of a bye. Nebraska was coming off a 50-point loss, and maybe there were some moments where the offense was a little flat. Obviously, an emotional win last week, but you're playing a team this week that hasn't had a great season. Ryan talks all the time about leaving no doubt. Can you speak to the urgency this week as you guys tried to prepare for a game and put a really good effort, forward, even though a team was 1-7 coming in?
Yeah, that was something we stressed all week was, it's not about them. It's about us. And it doesn't matter who walks out there across from us. We have to be who we are. And we can't just say that we're the hardest playing team in the country and that we're going to leave no doubt and then do it sometimes. We have to do it all the time. And we did that at Penn State. I mean, I think we came out there with energy, intensity. It wasn't perfect. I didn't play my best game, but we scrapped it out and we got it done. But that was the thing that we came through this week saying, like, we need to have that edge every single week, and that has to be who we are and not just what we do from time to time. And, I think Purdue is a better football team than their record indicates. I don't think that they're a 1-8 football team. I really do believe that. I think that they do some good things. They've struggled a little bit this year, but like we said, like, it's not about them, it's about us. And if we're going to be who we say we are, and we're going to be the baddest team in the country, like, we have to be that every single week.
Final two questions. Andy Backstrom, Letterman Row.
Yeah, Will, when you have Q and Trey on the field together at once, what kind of bind is that putting the defense in, and just what's it like when you see both those guys out there?
It makes it hard on those guys, man. It's, I think that's one of the first times we've done that this year, but it fires me up. It's good to have those two on this field at the same time, and you don't know who the ball's going to, and then you put that with all the other playmakers we got out there. You can do a lot of different things with it, and it allows you to be multiple in what we do, and fake it to Q, give it to Trey, stuff like that. It makes it fun.
And last question, Spencer Holbrook, Letterman Row.
Will, after the Oregon game and into Nebraska, you guys were trying new offensive line stuff, and then obviously Zen goes down. Hindsight, now you can look back. How's your internal clock right now and getting comfortable behind this offensive line that now has played 2 games together, in front of you, things like that? Just your internal clock and how that's been for you as not having Josh anymore.
Yeah, I don't think it's changed at all. Like, it really hasn't skipped a beat. And, I think they took some flack after that Nebraska game. And, obviously it was sad to see what happened to Zen. But, Carson comes in and does a hell of a job against Penn State. And today I think he played a hell of a game again. So really my internal clock hasn't changed. Like, that's not something I'm thinking about. Like, I'm not like, oh, shoot, like, that's Donnie out there, not Jim. Like, I'm not worried about that at all. Like, I have the utmost confidence in those guys. And there were a couple times today where I, like on that 2-minute drive, I cannot take that sack there. I got to throw that ball away. And then the other one where I just freaking fell on my face in the backfield, like, that's on me. I took 2 sacks that probably they should not have counted as sacks for those guys. And I feel bad for them because it goes on their record, but I'll get them back.
Will, thank you very much.
Appreciate you guys. Go Bucks.